Good morning, good evening, good night, Eagle MMA family. These are the official UFC awards for 2024. Alright, so as we all know, it is December, and there is no UFC for 4 more weeks. So, I decided to make a 2024 UFC award show. This is giving awards for the Fight of the Year, KO of the Year, other ones like, future champs of each division, honorable mentions, biggest troll of the year, the biggest villain of the year. So let's get right into it, starting with the meat. Let's start with the meat of the awards, the KO of the year. So for each of these awards, I will have 3 runners up, and the number 1 will be said last. So we'll start out with number 4 and with number 1. KO of the year, number 4, Esteban Ribovic getting a head kick KO over Terrence McKinney. This was a brutal, nasty KO, and not only that, but when he head kicked McKinney, McKinney went out cold and had his lifeless body sitting smiling up against the fence. It was one of the funniest KOs of all time. And we'll go right into number 3, Vinicius Oliveira getting a flying knee, brutal KO over Bernardo Sopai, however you say his name. Vinicius Oliveira is a fantastic prospect, and in his debut fight in the UFC, brutally, was already beating the F. He was already beating the F out of Bernardo whatever his dumb name is, his dumb face, Sopai, shut up. But the knee he landed was so brutal. He looked like an assassin out there. He looked like he wanted to actually take the essence of Bernardo Sopai. Absolutely brutal. And now we're getting into the 1 and 2, right? Number 2 on this list, Shara Bullet getting a double spinning back fist over Armen Petrosian. The only reason this was not at the number 1 spot was because I would have liked to see either whatever's dumb, Petrosian. I would have rather seen Petrosian get knocked out cold with no follow-ups, or let Shara follow up with a couple more ground and pound shots just to put him totally out cold. That's the only reason it's not number 1. And you guys are going to be chatting in the comments with my number 1 pick, which is Joaquin Buckley getting a gazelle hook jumping KO over Wonderboy Thompson. Flatlined him out cold. Now people go, oh, well, what about Holloway versus Gaethje? What about Oh wait, did I hear someone say Holloway versus Gaethje is the KO of the year? No, it's not. No, it's not. You know what the KO of the year means? Do you know what that means? It means the most entertaining KO. You take out the entire fight before it, you take out any moments before it, and you look at how cool is the KO and how cool is the reaction from the KO. That's why I had Ribovic versus McKinney, because it wasn't just a head kick, out cold knockout, but McKinney sat his lifeless body up against the cage and was smiling. Okay, that's why that was number 4, right? Holloway versus Gaethje. Yes, it was a very good knockout. I would have put it at number 5 if I was putting number 5s on the spot. It was one of the best knockouts of the year. I'm not going to deny that. But the best knockout? No, it is not. It was crazy. They traded, but that's it. Buzzer beater. Who cares? Oh, but it was so high level. It was so high level doesn't matter. High level doesn't matter. You'll see that later on with this fucking award show. You'll see what I'm talking about. High level doesn't matter. It's about actual entertainment. That's why Buckley versus Wonderboy Thompson is number 1. Do I have to repeat myself like 20 times for you guys to understand my point here? It's a jumping gazelle hook. That's the only time we've ever seen that in the UFC, and he flatlined Wonderboy Thompson out cold. Out cold. I also wanted to give one honorable mention. Like I said, Gaethje versus Holloway would have been number 5, but an honorable mention that I just don't think qualifies for number 5. Maybe number 7, number 8. But Michael Johnson versus Otman Azaitar, it was a nasty KO. It just happened on UFC Tampa. You can go watch my live stream reacting to it live. I freaked the F out because I picked Michael Johnson by second round KO. But we're going right on to the submission of the year. And you guys will, once again, see what I'm talking about with high level. We'll go with number 4, Vicente Luque versus Thimble Garimbo. Thimble Garimbo. That's his new name, is Thimble Garimbo, because he's as fucking strong as a thimble. He's as strong as a thimble. He's as intimidating as a thimble. Right, Luque hits him with a skidding jab, basically knocks him out cold right there, but then immediately locks up a Darce choke, chokes him completely out cold, and it wasn't even locked up. There were not a lot of submissions this year, guys. There were basically no really cool submissions. You'll see that, I was looking through them. fucking half of them are rear naked chokes, and then it's like an arm triangle here and there. Or number 3, Paddy Pimblett versus Bobby Green. Paddy Pimblett gets a triangle armbar, choking Green out cold. This was a fantastic submission. Not only was it a triangle, I think one of the only high-level triangles we saw in the UFC this year, but it was a triangle armbar. So not only did he fucking get a triangle, not only did he choke Green out cold, but it was an armbar as well, and he would have snapped his arm. It's a really good submission. And now we'll get into number 2, and this again is gonna rattle some cages. It's gonna, it's gonna get on your guys' fucking gears here. Number 2 is Whitaker versus Hamzat. Hamzat gets a teeth dislocating face crank over Robert Whitaker. And once again, this is what I'm saying. Oh my god, just be like, oh, he subbed Robert Whitaker. Robert Whitaker's so good, and he submitted him. Nobody cares. Oh my god, no. It's a face crank. We see 20 face cranks in the UFC every single year. Yeah, he dislocated his teeth. That was pretty cool. It was a really quick submission. But is it really better? Is it really more cool than the number 1 submission? Islam Makhachev versus Dustin Poirier. I think this is the submission of the year. I think it's the submission of the year. It was a decent fight before. And then Islam Makhachev got an ankle pick on Dustin Poirier, then locked up that Darce choke as Poirier was trying to stand up. Choked him out cold. It was a really good submission. A championship level Darce, and that's the only thing I can say. That's the only thing that's the only time I can ever bring up high levelness, because everything else is just a rear naked choke or like a mid fucking triangle or a mid arm triangle where they just tap. He choked him out cold with a Darce choke. It was fucking sick. And now we're gonna go on with fight of the year, which I know I said I wasn't doing number 5s, but number 5 I would put as Islam Makhachev versus Dustin Poirier. Not a number 1. Not a number 1. There's no effing way you put Islam Makhachev versus Dustin Poirier at number 1. You literally did not watch that fight. Am I the stupid one? Am I the one that's just out of the loop? Am I the only one that's out of the loop? And I don't think Dustin Poirier versus Islam Makhachev was the fucking greatest fight of all time. It was such a good fight. It was so high level. It was such a technical chess match. But was it the fight of the year? No. No, it wasn't. We'll get on with number 4 for fight of the year. Number 4 for fight of the year is Joshua Van versus Edgar Chairez. This was absolutely crazy. Back and forth. Almost got finishes like 12 times throughout the fight. It was a crazy fight. Flyweight banger. Unranked flyweight banger. It was absolutely crazy. Like I said, dude, what can I say? I can't say anything more about this fight. It was absolutely fucking crazy, dude. And it was on UFC Noche. But we'll move on to the next one. Number 3 is Dricus du Plessis versus Israel Adesanya. I see people putting this as submission of the year, or putting this in contention because, oh, it was the first time Adesanya got submitted. Who cares? It's a rear naked choke. It's just another rear naked choke, dude. It's just another rear naked choke where Izzy tapped and he didn't go out cold. Okay, it's just another rear naked choke, but it was a really good fight. Izzy was winning rounds. Dricus du Plessis brought the fight to Izzy and made him bring the fight to himself. It was a crazy back and forth for the 4 rounds, I believe it was. They were hurting each other back and forth, and the finish made it that much better. And now at number 2, we're going to have Esteban Ribovic versus Daniel Zellhuber, 2 lightweight prospects. And again, one more at UFC Noche. This is why I brought this up earlier when talking about Van versus Chairez. 2 of the fights of the year were at UFC Noche at the Sphere. I love UFC Noche. There's going to be ranking UFC events later on in the video. You guys will see where I put it. But 2 fight of the year candidates and a bunch of crazy KOs as well. It's easily number 2. I mean, Ribovic and Zellhuber were just fucking throwing in the pocket, dude. They were just throwing in the pocket. It was non-stop action. They were dropping each other. I think Daniel Zellhuber landed an elbow on Esteban Ribovic where it looked like that was going to end the fight. And Ribovic just gets up, starts throwing, and then he starts rocking Zellhuber at like the end of the second, start of the third. And then Zellhuber comes back at the end of the third. It was absolutely fucking crazy. And it was 2 legitimate prospects in the lightweight division. And number 1, it's so crazy how people forgot about this fight, because I thought when this happened, I was saying this is fight of the year. When this fight happened, I said it was fight of the year. And I didn't hear anybody else saying that. Mateusz Rebecki versus Miktikbek Orolbey is number 1 fight of the year. Absolutely crazy, bro. And easily round of the year, right? Round 3 is round of the year, right? First round, back and forth, Rebecki fucking beats the shit out of Orolbey. Fucking is beating the shit out of Orolbey. Second round, he's doing his work. Orolbey drops him. He starts working and starts beating the fuck out of out of fucking Rebecca, and then Rebecca fucking drops him bad and literally lands like 50 unanswered strikes as Mikdikbek Oralbey is just zombieing out of it. He's a fucking zombie. He's not even conscious, but he's standing up, and then he recovers, and then at the end of the third, he's about to KO Rebecca, bro. It was an absolutely fucking insane fight. This was a top 5 fight of all time, bro. Top 5 fight of all time. I'm telling you. Rewatch Islam versus Poirier, and then rewatch Rebecca versus Oralbey. And a couple other ones I wanted to say, too, that are also really good fights, but not even close, like maybe top 10. Jan versus Figgy. Jan versus Figgy is not even close to a fight of the year. It's like a top 15 fight of the year, bro. It was Figgy not throwing anything. Dropping Jan in the 4th round, and that was it. It was pure Jan beating up Figgy. This was comparable. Jan vs. Figgy as a fight of the year candidate is exactly comparable to Tai Tuivasa versus Cyril Gane, except that was a finish and this was a decision. It's exactly comparable. Cyril Gane was beating the fuck out of Tai Tuivasa. Tuivasa landed one shot and dropped him. Gane immediately recovered. Jan versus Figgy. Listen, I'm the biggest Figgy glazer of all time. I'm a Figinator. I'm a massive Figinator. But he was just getting beat up. He landed one significant strike in the first round. And like 3 in the second or something like that. He wasn't throwing anything. Yeah, when he was landing, he was like hurting him. But like he landed like fucking 30 strikes the whole fight. And then dropped him once at the end of the 4th round. Like, come on, let's be honest here. And the other one I'm going to say is Hollywood versus Gaethje, bro. Max Hollywood versus Justin Gaethje. This was not a fucking fight of the year, dude. I don't understand. Again, it was a one-sided beatdown. Not even like it was an entertaining fight, bro. Like I said, like it's a top 15 fight, but it was mostly a one-sided beatdown. Gaethje dropped him once. Max Holloway immediately recovered, and then they traded in the pocket in the last 5 seconds, and then that was it. Right? Like, come on, dude. You're making me uninterested by trying to say this is a fight of the year, bro. Come on. But let's move on from fight of the year and go right to fighter of the year. Now, this one I think is the clearest, most undeniable one out of any of these. Listen, the rest of these are like subjective, technically, even though when I say something, it's complete. Every single thing I say is completely objective, and you can't like deny it. But you know, this is the real most objective one. Fighter of the year. Number 4, I do have Joaquin Buckley, because all the other champs. Listen, I have 3 champs above Joaquin Buckley. I mean, Bilal fought once, Islam fought once, you know, no, they really didn't fight at all. John Jones fought once. Joaquin Buckley fought 4 times this year. He fought 4 times this year and sparked Wonderboy out cold and then beat the shit out of Colby Covington for 3 rounds straight. You know, I think he's easily, and he's going to be a future champ. So listen, you know, he's the best contender. He's the best contender out of the year. I think he's better than some of these other champions. But we'll get on to number 3. Like I said, we have champs on here. Dricus du Plessis. He had 2 fight of the year candidates, right? He had the first fight with Strickland. Obviously, they're fighting again this February. But the first time they fought, it was, you know, it wasn't the greatest fight of all time, but it was definitely up there, bro. It's like a top 15 fight of the year. It wasn't so crazy where it's, oh my god, but it was a really good fight. And then he had a fight of the year with Israel Adesanya. 2 fights a year as a champion is very, very average. That's more than half the UFC champions, and 2 of them are fight of the year candidates. I think that's undeniable. Right, and then number 2, Alex Pereira, right? Oh, well, Alex Pereira, he had 3 title wins. Against who, dude? Against who? Khalil Roundtree? He had a really and I saw people saying Khalil Roundtree versus Alex Pereira was a KO of the year and a fight of the year contender. That's egregious. That's completely disgusting. You know who you know who I'm talking about. Hey, whoever's watching this video, you know who I'm talking about, who is saying Alex Pereira versus Khalil Roundtree was a fight of the year and a KO of the year. Dummy. But also had a BS KO over Jamal Hill. I don't care what anyone says about that fight. What? Okay. Here, let me say something here. Everyone says MMA is about centimeters. It's about millimeters. But then when Alex Pereira takes a full step forward, out of kicking range into boxing range, when they haven't been in boxing range the entire fight, why does that not matter? But centimeters and millimeters matter. But Alex Pereira, a fucking 6'2", 6'3", 6'4", taking a full step fucking forward into Jamal Hill's boxing range when he's up against the fence, that doesn't matter. It was a BS KO. I really barely even count it. And then Khalil Roundtree, you went life and death with Khalil Roundtree, bro. Like, yeah, you beat the fuck out of Yuri. That's a good win. It's a solid win. It was short notice, but either way, it's still a good win over Yuri. But like, dude, there's no, you literally cannot call him the fighter of the year and have self-respect, bro. And easily, like I said, Ilia Topuria is fighter of the year. Yes, he only had 2 fights, but he brutally knocked out Volkanovski and Max Holloway, the 2 arguable GOATs of featherweight. I think Jose Aldo's the GOAT of featherweight still. I think Ilia needs 1 or 2 more fights to secure that position. But either way, they're 2 of the greatest fighters of all time, 2 of the greatest featherweights of all time. He brutally knocked both of them out. Brutally. Like, both of them are KO of the year contenders. Like, you can say that. Like I said, like, top 15. It's just completely undeniable, bro. You can't say that beating Khalil Roundtree, going life and death with Khalil Roundtree, and then getting a BSKO over Jamal Hill and a KO over Yuri Prochazka, who you already beat, is better than flatlining Topuria and Holloway, dude. Holloway's never been knocked out ever. He's been dropped twice in the UFC, if you count when he got dropped by Dustin Poirier and he got caught by the cage. Twice. Yeah, he was this, greatest shit of all time. And Ilia sparked him, bro. And I do want to give him an honorable mention because he's ranked at, I think, number 12. Like, he's number 12 ranked at featherweight or flyweight. Charles Inner G, the pride of St. Louis Johnson. Listen, if he was a champion or if he was a top contender, he would be fighter of the year. But either way, he still fought 4 times this year. Charles Johnson fought 4 times this year. He wanted to fight 5 times, but he wasn't able to. Finally got ranked in, and every single one of those fights was an absolute banger. They were like, every single one of his fights was a top 30 fight of the year. All 4 of them were top 30 fights of the year, which is crazy if you think about it. 4 fights in 1 year, and all of them are absolute scraps, and he knocked out Joshua Van. You know, he's crazy, but he's just not high enough level yet. But, you know, we're talking about Charles Johnson, a prospect for flyweight. Let's get into the prospect of the year, right? First up, I want to say Peyton Talbot as an honorable mention, because I do think he's just right outside of some of these fighters, and I think he might be tied with number 4, Esteban Ribovic. I don't know if Talbot becomes a champion. He's fighting Raoni Barcelos, which is a gifted matchup. We'll see how that plays out, but he'll probably knock Barcelos out cold, dude. Barcelos is such an old head. He got flatlined by Umar. But I think with Talbot, he's going to be really inactive, too. I think he's going to maybe fight twice in 2025. Maybe twice. Max, maybe, if we're lucky, he fights 3 times this year, but I don't really think so. And I think he's going to get a lot of gifted matchups, too. So that's the only reason I don't have him at the number 4. But the number 4 spot, like I said, Esteban Ribovic. I mean, come on, dude. He had a fight of the year with Daniel Zellhuber. And he had that crazy head kick KO over Terrence McKinney. And I know that's not the greatest win of all time, but Terrence McKinney shows if you're ready for the rankings. If you are not able to beat McKinney, you are not ready for the rankings. And if you do, you are. The only time we ever saw that was with one of the twins. What are those Bonfim bros. It was a fucking Ishmael Bonfim or whatever. And I do think he's still like good enough to be like a top 15 ranked. I mean, he only lost to Benoit Saint Denis. So he's a pretty decent test. And then Daniel Zellhuber is actually really good. If you look at Zellhuber's record, it's a pretty freaking good record. I'm trying not to swear as much because it's a more generalized video, but Daniel Zellhuber's got a great and a really good style to beat Esteban Ribovic, right? Esteban Ribovic is an inside. He basically fights like a more aggressive, more fucking elbows, knees version of Diego Lopez. Just runs in with fucking hook combinations. Daniel Zellhuber was a really tough stylistic matchup for him, and he fucking went to a war with him. Whether or not you agree with the decision, either way, we go to number 3 on this list. It is Chase the Dream Hooper. Now, like I said, Chase Hooper, I think, could be a top 10 contender easily. I think he can beat Dustin Poirier. I think he can beat Justin Gaethje. I know I'm going to sound crazy saying that, but, dude, Chase Hooper, man, I mean, lightweight's about to die. Lightweight is about to die. None of the contenders are ready for Arman or Islam. And all of the old heads like Charles, Chandler, Gaethje, Poirier, Max Holloway, too, they're going to be gone by the end of 2026. Completely gone. Completely gone. And 2025 is going to be the death of lightweight. So I think Chase Hooper is going to get up in the rankings. And I think he beats people like Moicano. I think he beats people like Rafael Fiziev. I don't think he beats any other good grapplers. Like he doesn't beat Mateus Gamrot. He probably doesn't beat Islam or Arman. But he can beat all these strikers that don't have the greatest ground game. I think he's a pretty decent prospect. But we go to number 2, a more championship caliber fighter, Vinicius Oliveira at bantamweight. He beat Ricky Simon clearly, and I think that is the biggest telltale that Vinicius Oliveira will be good. Ricky Simon is criminally underrated. Every single person that beats Ricky Simon is championship worthy. Well, what about Mario Batista? Mario Batista is championship worthy. I don't care what anyone says, dude. Ricky Simon is basically the test. He is the bantamweight test, more so than Pedro Munoz, more so than Rob Font, because he's an all-around fighter. He's the most general fighter in the UFC. He's just a big, meaty right hook and a double leg. If you can beat him, you can beat pretty much every style of fighter. Vinicius Oliveira made that fight not even competitive. But we'll get with number 1 on the list, Youssef Zalal, the Moroccan Devil. I've been so high on this guy ever since he came back to the UFC. If you guys don't know, he fought in the UFC before. He got cut because of a 2-fight loss streak, I believe, against like good fighters. Came back, and every single fight he's had since has been a finish, a submission, or a knockout. He just destroyed Jack Shore, who's a pretty decent test for featherweight. I think Youssef Zalal could legit be a champion, because if Ilia Topuria moves up, and Diego Lopez or Volkanovski is the champion, featherweight's also about to fucking die, dude. Featherweight's in its dying ages right now. Like, the top contenders at featherweight are fucking Yair, Ortega, like Josh Emmett, who's been around for 10 years, bro. Like, featherweight's about to die. And Youssef Zalal has a really good style. He is very dynamic, explosive striking, and a fantastic ground game. He can lay and pray. He can take you down double leg, you lay and pray. And he can also snap for submissions. He can scramble extremely well. He's very fast. He has very good cardio. I think he can legit be a champion, but maybe not in 2025. And like I said, a couple honorable mentions as well. Joshua Van, Charles Johnson, my flyweight goats. But now we get onto the upset of the year. We'll start this off with my honorable mention because I'm a massive Mota boater. Shouts out to my Mota boaters. Nicholas Mota had 2 fights this year, and on Tapology, he was a massive underdog both times. I picked him to win both of those fights. Shouts to all my Mota boaters. But we'll get on to number 4 on this list, Rebecki versus Oral Bay. Now, guys, I really forgot about this being an upset. I was checking back, and I was looking at the Tapology numbers. 90%, like 85 to 90% on Tapology, were picking Oral Bay to beat Mateusz Rebecki. Mateusz Rebecki obviously had the fight of the year with him, went crazy back and forth and beat him. So I think that was a really an underrated upset of the year. But we'll go to the 3rd spot, Merab versus O'Malley. Not necessarily as crazy, not as crazy as an upset, because a lot of people were picking Merab. But it's a high level. And I know, high level doesn't matter. Well, with upsets, it does. With upsets, it does, okay? When you're talking about upsets, high level does matter because there's more money riding on it, right? There's no money riding on Nicholas Mota losing. There's a shit ton of money riding on Sean O'Malley winning. We'll get on to number 2 on this list. You know, maybe this is biased here, but Vicente Luque versus Thimble Garimbo. This was my upset of the year because I thought there was literally no chance. I thought Vicente Luque literally had a 0% chance to beat Thimble Garimbo. Guess I'm wrong. Guess I'm just stupid and I don't know anything about the UFC. I guess I'm just a fucking idiot. I guess I'm just an idiot when I pick fights sometimes. And hey, I kind of am. I kind of am, because why the fuck did I pick Thimble Garimbo? Oh my god, dude, that pissed me off so much. It pissed me off so much because I said I was a guarantee. It was the lock of the year. That's what I was saying. I was saying it's the easiest fight to pick of all time, and he just got fucking sparked out cold, got fucking choked out cold. It's fucking pathetic. But we get on to the upset of the year, Bilal Muhammad versus Leon Edwards 2. Like I said, I picked Bilal Muhammad by decision. Picked him by decision. But a lot of people were, listen, I thought this was a crazy upset. Not because, like, I couldn't believe my eyes, but because so many people were picking Leon, bro. Like, so many people were picking Leon. I was so confident in Bilal Muhammad. Easy decision win for him. And I think he won, like, 4-1 or something. Lost the 5th round, maybe lost the 3rd or whatever. Absolutely dog-walked him, was slamming him on his head. Fucking dominated him. I think that's easily the upset of the year. But now we go on to my favorite. This is my favorite one of all time. This is my favorite award of all time. The technical chess match of the year. What's a technical chess match, right? Every single NPC MMA YouTuber, when a fight is high level and it's not the most entertaining fight of all time, they always call it a technical chess match. They call boring fights technical chess matches. It grinds my gears so much, so I'm gonna be ranking the top 4 technical chess matches by these MMA YouTube NPC standards, starting with number 4, Umar versus Sandhagen. And people were calling this fight a technical. Wow, this was such a technical chess match, man. Wow, so technical. Sandhagen's so technical. Oh, look at the takedown defense of Sandhagen. Oh my god. Oh my god. The fight was boring. Just say it. Just say the fight was boring. Oh my god. It was not high level at all. All Corey Sandhagen was doing was takedown defense maxing. He wasn't trying to get his striking at all. He was 90% focused on just defending the takedown from Umar, and he was so passive in that fight. And Umar was just winning, so why would he start taking chances? It was such a boring fight, such a nothing fight. But hey, number 4, technical chess match of the year. And we get to number 3, Shavkat versus Gary. Now this one is only number 3 because the narrative wasn't as big on this one. A lot of people were saying this was a boring fight, but I was hearing people saying, well, this was so technical, bro. Shavkat is so technical, man. Technical mastermind. Oh my god, it was so boring. Such a boring fight. Absolute clinch maxer. I predicted it perfectly. I said it was going to be a boring clinch decision. Boring clinch decision it was. Either way, we go to the number 2, Mitchell versus Gracie. Bryce Mitchell versus Kron Gracie. This fight was so boring for the first 2 rounds, and I said this fight was going to be competitive. It was. That is disgusting. Bryce Mitchell, I love Bryce Mitchell. He's on the JLP podcast, talking about flat earth and his sister's a demon or whatever. Hilarious. Love his fight style, but that fight was so boring, and I knew it was going to be boring. Kron Gracie just makes you sit in his guard. That's all he does. People were saying, oh, Bryce Mitchell's going to destroy him. Bryce Mitchell's going to destroy Kron Gracie. Well, he didn't. He got a lukewarm slam KO. It's pretty hard to get a lukewarm slam KO. But number 1, Islam Makhachev versus Dustin Poirier, bro. I don't fucking care anymore. Oh my god. It was so technical. It was the grappling exchanges were so high level. Why? Dustin Poirier has some of the worst grappling defense. He literally, on paper, has some of the worst grappling defense. For real. On paper, his hips are the hips of an 80-year-old grandma. You can watch his appearance on the Joe Rogan podcast when they were in, like, the red room or whatever. He literally shows Joe Rogan pictures of his x-rays of his hips before he got hip replacements. They were quoted as being worse than an 80-year-old grandmother. Your hip strength is literally your entire grappling defense. It's all on your hip strength. The fact that those grappling exchanges were so close is pathetic from Islam and disgusting that was even a close fight. It's the technical chess match of the year. But we'll take a break from these single awards. We're going to go into 2 separate division awards. So the first one we're going to rank are the future champions of each division. The champions at the end of 2025. We'll start with flyweight, we'll end at heavyweight, and then we'll get on to the next division ranking and then rank some more UFC awards. But let's go with the future champ of each division, starting with flyweight. I'm the biggest Pantoja Glazer of all time. And I think Manel Kape beats him, bro. I think Manel Kape's going to be the champion. End of 2025. I think he's going to be the flyweight champion. End of 2025. I think his style is just so perfect to beat Pantoja. It's just so perfect to beat Pantoja. I think Pantoja beats literally everybody else in the division except for Kape. Kape is too fast, he's too explosive, and he has good enough grappling defense and good enough movement to get out of the way and scramble with Pantoja to break that distance. And his flying knees are crazy. We saw with Asakura versus Pantoja. Pantoja's really open to knees up the middle. It's one of his biggest weaknesses in the striking are straight shots and knees up the middle. Kai Sakura, he's a rising champion. He's really good, but I think Kape is just a lot more dangerous and better than him in the striking, and he has much better movement and takedown defense. But we're going to do bantamweight. I think it's going to be still Merab. I think Merab's going to beat Umar, and then who else does Merab fight after Umar? Sean O'Malley? I mean, really, after Merab beats Umar, who is he going to fight? He's going to fight Sean O'Malley. He's going to fight Peyton Talbot or Vinicius Salvador. Vinicius Oliveira. Sorry, not Vinicius Salvador. That guy fucking sucks. Vinicius Salvador fucking sucks. I think he got cut from the UFC. But Vinicius Oliveira, I mean, there's nobody else at bantamweight. Except for what? Maybe Peter Yan. And Merab already fucking 50-44'd him. He already, shot 50 takedowns against Yan. When he beats Umar, there's nobody else from in the division at this point. And we'll go on with featherweight. Once again, I do think it's going to be Ilia Topuria. Now, here's the thing with Ilia Topuria. He's talking about moving up and vacating his belt. I think if he does move up and vacate his belt, it will be Diego Lopez. But if he still fights at featherweight and he keeps his featherweight belt and maybe there's an interim title, I think he will be still And we're going to see lightweight as well. I think easily it's going to be Arman. 100% Arman Tsarukyan is going to beat Islam Makhachev. And if Arman Tsarukyan fights 3 times in the UFC 2025, if he beats Islam, has one more fight, and then fights one more time, it will be Paddy. If Arman and Paddy fight, it's going to be Paddy. It all depends on how active Arman is, and I don't think he's going to be that active. I think he's only going to fight twice this year. So I'll stick with Arman, but if he fights 3 times and he fights Paddy, it's going to be Paddy. With welterweight 2, I mean, just another really easy one. It's going to be Joaquin Buckley. Numansa. It's going to be Numansa Buckley. So easy. He beats literally everybody in the division. Literally everybody. He beat his toughest matchup in Wonderboy Thompson. Who beats Buckley? Let's be honest. What, Bilal beats him? Bilal beats him? Are you joking? Sean Brady was trading in the pocket with Bilal. You think Joaquin Buckley's not going to knock him out? Leon Edwards was destroying Bilal in the 5th round with those grounded elbows. You think Buckley's not going to get a takedown and get on top and start ground and pounding? Literally, who beats Buckley, bro? Nobody beats Buckley. He's going to go down as one of the greatest welterweights and one of the greatest fighters of all time. The easiest champion out of any of these. And a not so easy one with middleweight. I am going to say and still Dricus du Plessis. Listen, you know, I mean, what do you think? Baralio's going to beat him? Baralio's not going to beat Dricus du Plessis. He does not have the power. He does not have the athleticism to beat DDP. Strickland, let's be honest, Strickland's probably not going to beat him in the rematch. It's probably going to be another decision win for Dricus du Plessis. The only one I could see beating Dricus du Plessis is Hamzat, but what happens when Dricus versus Hamzat gets to the 3rd round? And Hamzat starts tiring out a little bit. He starts not being as dominant as he is in the 1st round, and Dricus du Plessis starts to land his jab. He starts to land his body straight. You know, I mean, do you think Hamzat's just going to go out there and submit Dricus in the 1st round? That's the only way you can see. That's the only way Hamzat beats DDP. If he goes out there and just finishes him in the 1st round, I really don't think that happens. So I'm going to have to say DDP and still for 2025. We'll go through these next 2 quick, because they're so pathetic, dude. They're so pathetic. Light heavyweight. Listen. I'm going to ruffle some feathers here. The light heavyweight champion by the end of 2025 is going to be Jamal Hill. It's going to be Jamal Hill, and nobody can tell me otherwise. Listen, Jamal Hill is going to absolutely flatline Yuri. It's going to be one of the greatest KOs of all time. It's going to be so disgusting. After that, he's going to fight most likely Rakic or Carlos Ulberg or maybe Khalil Roundtree. And after that win, he's going to get a title shot against the champion, Magomed Ankalaev or Alex Pereira. Either one, he destroyed. Well, Pereira beat him in the first fight. That was a bullshit fight, and Jamal Hill was out leg kicking him. Jamal Hill was out leg kicking Alex Pereira. I 100% think Jamal Hill beats Pereira in a real fight, in a real rematch, and I think it's even easier for him against Ankalaev. Ankalaev's legs are so cooked, bro. He was getting absolutely destroyed. His legs were getting destroyed by Jan Blachowicz. He was checking the kicks, and still he was like wobbling and hopping on one leg like a little bunny, bro. It was so pathetic from Ankalaev. And for heavyweight, I think it's going to be Alex Pereira. I think the heavyweight champion at the end of 2025 is going to be Alex Pereira. They're not going to make Jones versus Aspinall. They're not going to make that fight. They're going to make Jones versus Pereira for the heavyweight title. And I can't wait for that. And I think Alex Pereira literally knocks out John Jones at heavyweight. I think he knocks him out at heavyweight. John Jones' biggest weakness is his leg kick defense and his boxing defense. Those are the 2 biggest things, and athleticism, right? If Alex Pereira lands like 3 leg kicks on a 240-pound fucking, you know, John Jones is very top heavy, bro. His legs are skinny as fuck, bro. He's got thin ass legs. If Pereira lands like 2 leg kicks, he's cooked, bro. He is cooked, and he'll be strong enough to out kind of strength Jones in some of those grappling positions. It'll be a close fight, and Jones will probably take down Pereira in the 1st round and kind of beat the shit out of him. But, you know, Pereira comes back in that 2nd round, you know, every round starts standing, just lands a jab, calf kick, you know, drops him with a calf kick, and then comes in with a left hook, fucking knocks him out, bro. I think Pereira's going to be the heavyweight champ. Now we get on to the Eagles' Eye. This is one contender from every single division that I glazed TF out of. I glazed TF out of these fighters, and they did good. Not just fighters that I glazed, but these fighters I glazed. I said they were going to be good, and they lived up to my expectations. At flyweight is Charles Johnson. I said he's going to go on a run. He's going to be a top 5 fighter. He's one of the most entertaining fighters in the division. He fought 4 times. He had a nasty KO over Joshua Van. Had a great fight with Suman Tuerchi. Easy flyweight, Bantamweight, Rob Font or Figueiredo. The only reason I don't say Figueiredo is because he did lose to Petr Yan, but he beat Chito Vera and he beat Cody Garbrandt. He subbed Cody Garbrandt, which is a really underrated win if you think about it. Cody Garbrandt has pretty decent, grappling and submission defense. But like I said, he did lose to... He lost to Petr Yan, so I don't want to put him. I'm gonna put Rob Font, beat Kyler Phillips. I listen, dude. People were picking fucking Kyler Phillips to beat Rob Font. You're disgusting, bro. I'm gonna go hard in with the with the Rob Font glaze. With flyweight 2, I was already talking about it in my prospects of the year. Easy Yusuf Zalal. I'm telling you, this guy is going to be a future champion, if not one of the top contenders at featherweight for a long, long time. Lightweight, Mateusz Rebecki. Picked him to beat Oral Bay. Once again, he is a legit prospect. He is actually a future champion. He has a very good style to beat a lot of these fighters. He has good enough wrestling. He has good enough submissions. He has good enough striking. He's dangerous enough. The only thing that goes against him is his cardio, but that is something he can improve upon and something he has been improving upon, which we saw with his Miktikbek Oral Bay fight. He went to an absolute war with Oral Bay and still had good enough cardio to survive to a decision. With welterweight, once again, Joaquin Buckley, bro. Joaquin Buckley is the main reason I made this Eagles eye right here. I got an eye for prospects. I've been saying Joaquin Buckley is going to be one of the greatest welterweights of all time ever since his fight with Andre Fial, where he knocked him out with a head kick. I'm heavy on the Buckle-nator glaze. I'm a hardcore Buckle-nator. Middleweight, another easy one. DDP, come on. I've been on DDP since he fought Brad Tavares. I've been saying this guy's so entertaining. He's one of the most entertaining fighters in the UFC, if not the most entertaining fighter in the UFC. Really, really easy. Light heavyweight, Zhang Min Yang, right? Zhang Min Yang, absolute animal. He's a fucking animal. At heavyweight, Waldo Cortez Acosta. We saw him beat Rebelis de Spain. We saw him beat Andrei Arlovsky. He's one of the greatest unranked heavyweights of all time. So those are my Eagles eye for every contender that I glazed. And let's get on to the next reward here. The next award. The Division of the Year. Now, I was going to make this a whole video, but I decided to put it in here because it deserves it. It deserves to be in my UFC 2024 award show. At number 4, we have unranked heavyweight, what I was just talking about. Unranked heavyweight is such an underrated division. I'm not talking about, number 15, number 14. I'm talking about the heavyweight fighters that go 2-2 in the UFC. This year, they were absolutely crazy. We had Waldo Cortez Acosta, we had Marcos Rogério de Lima, we had Muhammad Usman, right? We had so many unranked, fat, terrible heavyweights. We had Justin Taffa, we had Junior Taffa, we had Walter Walker. I mean, 2024 was the year of the unranked heavyweight. At number 3, we have welterweight, right? Welterweight is a really good division. The only thing that kind of ruined it and made it, number 3 on this list instead of number 2 was the Ian Gary versus Shavkat fight and Shavkat versus Wonderboy. Those kind of dropped it down a bit, but we still have Buckley. Ian Gary's still an entertaining fighter. Bilal is still great. We got Carlos Prates. It's still a fantastic division with a lot of talent and a lot of entertainment value. At number 2, we have middleweight, another really easy one. Dricus du Plessis getting 2 Fight of the Year candidates. Nasruddin Imavov, got some good fights. We got Kyle Baralho versus Jared Cannonier, which was a good fight. So many good fights. We had Misha Pajeda versus Fluffy Hernandez, one of the biggest beatdowns of the entire UFC history, bro. Fluffy versus fucking Pereira was one of the biggest beatdowns in UFC history. Absolute GOAT division, but the number 1 GOAT division is flyweight. The best division of 2024 is flyweight. And of all time, best division of all time is flyweight. But specifically 2024, it is flyweight. Pantoja had a fantastic fight with Asakura, had a good fight with Steve Arasag, and then all the other fights, Kopp versus Bruno Silva. Again, one of the biggest beatdowns. We had Joshua Van, we had Charles Johnson, we have Azmat Moksum, right? Kai Kara-France knocking out Steve Arasag. We got Moreno Rival versus Tatsuro Taira. It's such a good division. It's so underrated, so criminally underrated because these people cannot see past the fact that people smaller than you can beat the shit out of you. Hey, guess what? Alexander Pantoja beats the shit out of anybody that speaks bad about him. Okay? Anybody that says, oh, flyweight's so bad, it's so unentertaining, and they're just too small. Dude, they wouldn't beat like real UFC fighters. They beat your ass. Yeah, they beat your ass, pussy. But we get into the villain. Of 2024. Number 4, we have Alexandre Pantoja. Because of his fight with Steve Arasag, people were hating on Pantoja before and after this fight, especially because of how close. It wasn't close. The fight wasn't close at all. How close his fight with Steve Erceg was. People were calling Erceg the real champ. They were saying Pantoja's so boring. What happens at flyweight or anything? Such unwarranted hate too. Such unwarranted hate. And then, you know, the only reason he's, you know, not further up is because he did beat Kaiser and he finally started getting the praise he deserves. But number 3 on the villain of the year is Merab Dvalishvili, right? People fucking hate this guy no matter what. Dude, people hate this guy no matter what. This guy could go on a 7-fight fight of the year streak and people will still be oh, Goblin, you got an ugly nose, you Goblin. Oh, you fucking inbred. All this. He's entertaining, bro. Like, it's such unwarranted hate, bro. It's so crazy. But number 2, and this was so close to number 1, but I had to put it in number 2 because number 1 has a special place in my heart. Number 2 is Mario Batista, right? Mario Batista got the clinch decision win over Jose Aldo. And literally, I was seeing videos that are saying, Mario Batista needs to be bro. Hey, listen, you know, people get on me for the shit I say. That, you know, you say, oh, Eagle's too edgy. He's a creep or whatever. You know, I bring all that on myself. You know, I know I'm not a creep and all this. But listen, I can say all that. People are saying Mario Batista needed to be, bro. They were saying Batista needed to be murdered in the cage, dude. Like, listen, I'm pretty tame when it comes to some of these other people, bro. People had a death wish. They actually had a death wish for Mario Batista because he got a clinch decision over Jose Aldo, bro. It was crazy. But number 1, undeniably, it's John Jones, right? For ducking Aspinall, his undeserved fight versus Stipe Miocic. I mean, that one's so self-explainable. I don't even want to go into it. Because it's the same shit over and over. But Jones is easily the villain of 2024. Now, and speaking of villains, we're going to get into the victims, the biggest victims of the UFC. Once again, number 4, Amir Albazi. He got absolutely bodied. And listen, oh my god, just the like rainbows and sunshine in my heart watching Amir Albazi get completely dominated for 5 rounds by Brandon Moreno. If you guys don't know, look at my oldest video. Go to my videos tab, go to oldest. My first video I ever posted on this channel was a hate video towards Amir Albazi. I absolutely despise his decision over Kai Kara France. It was the craziest fucking decision of all time. The most whacked out fucking decision of all time. And he finally got his comeuppance, bro. So I have to put that at number 4. He got bodied. He became a Moreno victim. But number 3, Tom Aspinall, right? Oh, well, he beat Curtis Blades and he beat Pavlovich. Who fucking cares, to be honest, bro? Who cares? He's been whining and complaining for that Jones fight for a year. He's been whining and complaining for that Jones fight for over a year, and he still hasn't got it. He's an absolute victim. Number 2, Corey Sandhagen. And listen, you know, that fight with Umar was so pathetic, bro. He's an absolute victim. He let Umar just beat him. Like, not even like dominantly beat him. He just let the fight get away because he's like too scared to engage with Umar because he's too much of a victim, bro. He's too scared of the Nurmagomedov name, bro. Absolute victim. But the number 1 victim of the year is Steve Erceg, right? He got robbed. By Pantoja. Pantoja easily beat him 5-0, arguably 5-0. Pantoja beat Erceg. And then came back and got absolutely brained in the first round by Kai Kara France, a real contender. He is easily the biggest victim in the UFC. And we're getting, you know, closer to the end of this video, so we're gonna go past these, you know, a little bit quicker. The biggest troll in the UFC, number 4, Dricus du Plessis, right? He made Izzy and Strickland cry 2 fights in a row in the same year. He's an absolute troll. He's a fucking alpha, bro. Just an alpha fucking bully. Number 3 is Conor McGregor, you know, because he's just teasing a fight. He's been teasing a fight in the UFC for like 3 years straight. Like, he's been teasing a fight with the UFC in 3 years straight. And you can say Michael Chandler, you can put Michael Chandler as one of the biggest victims. Or, whatever. Either way, McGregor's been fucking teasing a fight forever. Still did not get it. He's an absolute troll. Number 2 on the list is Merab, right? It's easily Merab. People getting all pissy about him, you know, talking to Umar. His fight with Sean O'Malley. People just go, another boring decision for Merab. Who cares? Merab's gonna shit talk right after. He grabbed fucking O'Malley's, jacket, right? That's a massive troll. Troll Merab. And number 1, easiest troll of all time, Chris Weidman, for getting the double eye poke knockout over Bruno Silva, and then completely dismissing Bruno Silva, saying, if you're a real fighter, you would get poked in the eye and not complain about it. Like, you lost because you complained about getting poked in the eye. Alpha gaslighter, alpha troll, easily the biggest troll of 2024. Right, let's go to the biggest mogger in the UFC. Who was the biggest bully? Not the biggest villain, but the biggest bully. Starting at number 4 with Khamzat Chimaev. He absolutely mogged Whitaker. He mogged Whitaker, bro. Aura max to the fucking ceiling, dude. He came back after a massive layoff wearing fucking black turtlenecks, glasses, and talking very calmly, and just fucking destroyed him, bro. He fucking destroyed him. He beat Whitaker before they even stepped in the cage. Right, number 4, another fighter I've said, 10,000 times on this award show. Dricus du Plessis, he mogged Izzy and Strickland, made both of them cry, like the alpha bully he is. Number 2, Ilia Topuria, he was posting on his Instagram before his fight with Volk even happened. He said, I am the featherweight champion of the world. Like, I already beat Volkanovski. And did the exact same thing with Max Holloway. Was making fun of him on their, like, live debate, bro. Absolutely destroyed him and showed him who's boss. And the number 1 biggest mogger of 2024 was Manel Kopp. He lost to Mokaev, but in that too, he was fucking throwing hands before the fight even started. When they both walked into the cage, he was trying to fight Mokaev before the fight even started. And in his Bruno Silva fight, he's literally going, he's fucking, he's sitting down on the ground, fucking emoting the shit out of him. And after getting fouled 3 times in a row, fouled him to a TKO. Absolute mocking from Manel Kopp. Now we're on to the third to last award here. We're getting to the end of this. The most overhyped fighters of the UFC. Number 4, Alex Pereira, bro. Like, people calling him fight of the year, it's disgusting. That KO over Jamal Hill is BS, and a win over Khalil Roundtree is really so just nothing. There's just nothing to a win over Khalil Roundtree. And I'm Magomedov Ankalaev's biggest hater, but he should have fought Ankalaev and instead fought Khalil Roundtree. So overrated, absolutely disgusting. Number 3 is Umar. He beat Sandhagen. I already talked about it. He beat Sandhagen. Oh my god. Such a good win. He barely beat Sandhagen too. Oh my god. That fight was competitive too. And he almost lost to Sandhagen. It all depended on the 5th round. Everything rode on the 5th round. It was so disgusting. Number two is Aspinall, right? Oh, he KO'd Curtis Blades. He KO'd Sergey Pavlovich. He subbed Volkov. Oh my god, he subbed Volkov. Those fighters suck. Like, those fighters are so bad. Aspinall's best win is Curtis Blades, who was a Derek Lewis victim, bro. Curtis Blades got fucking murdered by Derek Lewis, dude. That is not a good win at all, especially because Curtis Blades didn't shoot a single takedown, which we know that about Curtis Blades. We know Curtis Blades only shoots takedowns against wrestlers and only strikes against strikers, so I'm not even going to get on his ass for that. He's just stupid. He's just a dumb fighter, and it's a really easy win. Curtis Blades' best win is Chris Daukaus, by the way. Curtis Blades' best win is Chris Daukaus, dude. Who is Curtis Blades beat? Let's be honest. And number 1, this was the funniest moment. This was absolutely the funniest moment of the entire UFC history. The most overhyped fighter of all time. Robelis Despain. People forgot about him already. I bet people already forgot about Robelis Despain. This dude was so, listen. What, he KO'd, Mick Parkin? He, KO'd Mick Parkin or some fucking nobody bum in the first round in a terrible fight. And then he got grapple grape decision by Waldo Cortez Acosta. And then back-to-back lost in the exact same way against Austin Lane. 2 strikers! 2, really bad strikers who have no grappling. Completely out-grappled and dominated Robelis on the ground. People were saying Robelis is the next Francis Ngannou. They were saying, oh, he's the one to beat Jones. I want to say this. I want to make this clear. I always thought he was terrible. I always knew he would never crack the rankings. You guys can go back in my early streams and see me say that. You guys can watch me say that. I knew he was not fit for... He was not UFC caliber. But the most underhyped UFC fighters... Listen, this is the second to last one. Pantoja, number 4. Bilal, number 3. Buckley, number 2. Number 1, DDP. Listen, that one's already... I've already talked about all those, so I just want to get that one out, quickly. And the card of the year... Number 3, UFC Tampa, absolutely crazy card. You had Billy Q versus Cub Swanson. You had Joel Alvarez versus whatever that fucking dummy's name is. That fucking nobody. Your boy Eric Anders. It obviously had Buckley versus Covington. The whole card was absolutely crazy. Fight of the year contenders, KO of the year contenders. Number 2 is UFC 300. I was saying this card was going to be really good. It absolutely lived up to its expectations. You had, I mean, listen, do I even need to explain UFC 300? Just look at the fucking card and look at the fights that were put on that card. Absolute bangers the entire way through. And the best card of the year, and one of the greatest cards of all time, UFC Noche. UFC Noche was such a fucking good card. I mentioned it earlier. 2 Fight of the Year candidates, Esteban Ribovic versus Daniel Zellhuber, and Joshua Van versus Edgar Chairez, as well as having a lot of KOs. It was such a good card. I really like the visuals of the Sphere. If you guys don't know, UFC Noche was in the Sphere. The visuals of the Sphere made it just that much better. The ring girls were sexy Latina mamacitas. I think that is easily the card of the year and one of the greatest cards, top 10 cards of all time. Easily top 10 cards of all time. But listen, bro, this is a long-ass video. It's a long-ass video. These are my UFC awards. My next video coming out tomorrow will be my MMA YouTube awards, so make sure you guys stay tuned to that. I got some pretty crazy things to say, talking about Kenny Okoye, MMA Joey, a bunch of other MMA YouTubers, Guru, Tracy, Bedtime, Che, Rico. Talk about every single MMA YouTuber and give them all similar awards to these here. But let me know what you guys think of these awards. Go, type in the comments, like, comment, subscribe. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know if I missed any awards. I know I didn't put comeback of the year on here because there really weren't a lot of comebacks. There really were not a lot of comebacks in the UFC of 2024. I could not think of a single comeback. Like a comeback win. Couldn't think of one because Ilya was beating Volk and Buckley was beating Wonderboy. Those are the only 2 that people would probably say are being like the comebacks of the year. Really, I couldn't think of one. But let me know down below. Thank you all for watching. EagleMMA out.
Hey. Young Lean? Are you Young Lean?
What?
Are you Young Lean?
No, I'm Barry Dillon.